Hi everyone. So, inspiration, connection, disruption. If I asked every single person in this room, what do those three terms mean? Everybody would have a definition. In the context of the business that you work in, and just as individuals navigating life. What I want to do is take you on a bit of a journey of how REA sees those terms. For those of you that don't know who we are, so REA Group is a publicly listed company in the ASX. We've got a market cap of over $12 billion. As you heard in the intro, we work across the US, we work across India, our homeland is in Australia, and we work across Southeast Asia. In terms of this market, we're the market leader running a brand called iProperty. Now, when you think about a digital conference and you think about technology, we have a particular way that we think about how technology influences all of our businesses. The first is really the connection, obviously, between digital and physical and how people interact across different screens, whether they're large screens, laptops, tablets, mobile, or wearables. All of that, I'm sure everyone is familiar with. Then you think about how you interact with the content that is available on those screens, whether you move from photography and video, which is very mainstream, to 360 views, to augmented reality, to virtual reality. And then you layer on top of that how you interact. Is that a keyboard? Is it a mouse? Is it using your finger? Is it voice? Is it gesturing? And then you layer on top of that IoT or automation, Internet of Things, whether it be with a car, home, or connecting those devices together, and then you layer on top artificial intelligence. Now, all of those terms I'm sure you're familiar with. The magic is how you combine all of those concepts, and you combine them with a business model that makes your business successful. I firmly believe that all of this landscape, when we're standing here in 3 years' time, we'll have another whole new row. Whether we succeed or not, regardless of what business we're in, comes down to a platform which isn't on that page. That platform we call people. Because there's been a lot of conversation about entrepreneurs and a lot of conversations about businesses that are growing in a 1, 2, 5 year horizon. Just a little bit of context on REA. We've been in existence, and Georg alluded to this, for 20 years. The real growth has really accelerated with a number of pivotal points where the market got shaped by some of the things that REA did. The shaping was done by people. It wasn't led by technology. And so when we think about our Asia trajectory, we're not thinking about it in a 1 year horizon. The benefit that REA Group has is taking the learnings of the last 20 years or even the last 10 years and trying to compress that and execute on that in a 1 year horizon. So, I'm going to argue that if you want sustainable business growth, regardless of which stage your business is at, if you don't understand people, no matter how smart you are, no matter how entrepreneurial you are, you won't build a business that sustains for the long term. So how do you do it? So I'm going to take you on a little bit of an open for inspection, so to speak, across REA Group. This is how we think about it. A lot of businesses focus on getting the right talent in, looking at the CV, making sure people have the right skills, they know their stuff. But there's not many businesses globally that have the courage to lead from the heart and engage people, not just with the left-hand side of the brain, but with the right-hand side of the brain. Any psychologist would tell you that if you do a good job of giving people career development, you pay them really well, it triggers the right-hand side of the brain, the emotions. They generally go, that's great, thank you very much. Any psychologist would tell you that lasts for about a week. The thing that sustains people is a higher calling. And the higher calling we call, if this will click, purpose. So having a purpose that is crystal clear for every single person in your organisation, whether it's small, it's big, it's a mature market, we think is key. You heard it in the introduction. Our purpose is to change the way the world experiences property. Some of you will be familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Fundamental need is shelter. People have all spectrums. We deal with people that are on the brink of homelessness, through to just beginning to enter the property market, through to into wealth build. Being able to cater to all of those audiences, these are real people with real lives that are trying to improve their current status in life. And we have a real opportunity to help them in that. When people join our organisation, one of the things, separate to the digital piece and separate to the success of the business historically, is them thinking that they can play a part in making that real, regardless of which country we operate in. So far I've talked about how we see inspiration. Now let's talk about connection. Connection to us really goes to a little thing we call values. And we think that there are 2 flavours of values. We have 6 in the company. These first 3 are the thing that we don't tell people overtly, so keep it between us. But when we interview people, we look for these things because we think these things are really hard to grow. You either have it or you don't. And often that's brought up by how you've been brought up. Family of origin, key people that you hang around with, the people that influence your character. So things like doing it with heart, having a real passion, regardless of whether you're being paid or not, and seeing things through is something that we look for. Doing it as a team, people that often talk I rather than we is a dead giveaway. And people that inspire people. You know, inspiration means a lot of things to lots of people. My simple definition of inspiration is there are some people you interact with and you walk away with more energy after the conversation than before. There are some people you interact with where it's the opposite. We're looking for the first one. So when you talk about the type of people we want in the organisation, we want people that are actually energy givers and have these values. Now there's a flip side to that coin. Our next set of values are what we commit to grow in you when you're part of the company. A lot of companies have issues with people taking accountability for what they said they would do. It's a pretty simple concept. So we call that keeping it real. If you say you're going to do something, you execute on it. Then we talk about owning something. If you see that a ball has dropped, don't walk past the ball. Pick up the ball, make sure the right person's got it, and see that through. They're pretty basic human concepts, but fundamental to a business being successful. And lastly, and most importantly, which heads towards the disruption path, is if you see a ball on the ground on one day and you own it and you pick it up and you pass it to someone, and the very next day you're walking past and that ball is back, there's something wrong with your internal process. Everybody has a responsibility to ask themselves, why is that ball on the ground? So reimagine from the smallest things to the big market-shaping, disrupting things. So that is how we think about connecting with people in the company. But better than me explain it, this is what some of our people had to say.
REA Group is made up of all sorts of rooms. Rooms where we think, rooms where we create, rooms for experimenting, planning and connecting, rooms that inspire us, rooms where we get together, and rooms where we get away. But regardless of how different our roles might be in each of them, we have a common purpose: to change the way the world experiences property. And because we're all under this one roof, it's important that we share a common language about who we are and what's important to us, a common set of values.
We reimagine it.
Just like you would in your garage.
We're not afraid to fail. We love experimenting
and innovating.
Working away at a great idea
to wow our consumers
and customers.
We take risks
and challenge the
status quo.
We own it.
We get stuff done. We're committed to achieving our goals,
no matter the challenges.
And if things don't quite go to plan,
we move on.
Smarter
and better than before.
We inspire it.
We're as thirsty for knowledge
as we are generous with it.
Everyone here has something to teach.
To inspire in others
and to learn.
Our endless curiosity
means we never stop growing.
We do it with heart.
Just like in the kitchen, people are what make REA.
Every connection we make
with each other, with our customers,
and our community matters.
and we're never afraid to show how much we care.
We keep it real
We don't expect anyone to fit a mould.
And we accept everyone.
for who they are,
We're open and we tell it like it is.
We're serious about our work.
but never ourselves.
We do it as one team.
Everything we achieve,
We achieve together.
No egos,
No heroes,
it's our collective
genius that gives us our edge.
These are the REA Group values. The values we live by.
So that's how we connect with our teams internally, and we think that how we treat our teams internally also impacts how we treat our customers and our consumers. So now about disruption. How do we see that? Well, we've got a pretty simple model that has 4 parts. We think that ultimately, to succeed in any digital business today, you must have a global mindset. That doesn't mean you're playing in every single market. But without a global mindset, it is almost guaranteed, is our view, you will not succeed. Because the market is now too small and the world changes too fast. We think there are 4 key ingredients for you to develop a global mindset, and they're things you can learn. The first is this. You're looking for people that have high competency, they really understand their space, they have high self-esteem. If you tell them, Henry, you really got that wrong, I don't fall into a puddle. I still understand that I have value in myself, but equally, low ego. It's not about me, it's about the team. So that, we think, is the core pillar to building a global mindset. The second is then having what I call social and cultural intelligence, which is a different way of saying these are the people that are in your business that are more focused on the market, talking about what is happening in your sphere, whether it be in movies or cars or property, understanding what's happening out there rather than focusing on what's happening in here, inside the business. The third is talking about leadership attributes, and we think there are 4 of them. Being an inspiring leader, if you're a leader of people, and that to me is somebody that energises the team that you're directing. Being strategic, which is a much overused word in my opinion. Strategic to me is simply observing a couple of data points in the market, being able to connect those points, and looking at the strength that you've got inside your business and how those 2 things come together. So being strategic, then talking about having a commercial lens. At the end of the day, a business has to write revenue in some way to be sustainable. So how do you apply a commercial mindset over any concept or need that you see in the marketplace? And the one that is mentioned the least, but I think the most important, is operational. Because doing all of those other things, but not being able to convert it into a plan and operationalise it, means it doesn't turn up. And last but not least is a little word I call empathy. So if you're picking up a theme for our entire view of the world, of how you inspire, connect, disrupt, at the end of the day, it comes down to the wiring and DNA of your people and the culture that you build. So very quickly, let me just take you on a summary. Inspire with purpose, connect through your values, disrupt and grow through a global mindset, or is it connect and grow through a global mindset? Last case study. This is the REA journey so far. I'm very fortunate that I've been in the company for about 9.5 years, working alongside the executive team, and in the last 1.5 years, leading the Asia team. People often talk about the left-hand side being a public company, financial performance of the company. For my entire tenure, we have enjoyed and executed well double-digit growth, year on year on year. And that's often what is celebrated. The interesting thing is that what you often don't see in an external presentation is the bit on the right. The bit on the right is how we engage our employees and how engaged they feel to the purpose of the company, how they feel about their manager, how they feel about their role, how well they think we do diversity inside the company and welcome different opinions, and how well they feel looked after. The right is actually more important than the left. It's a predictor of success. So people often ask me, so how are you going in your new role, leading the team in Asia? My answer is always the same. I focus on the people. When you think about how the market sees us, you look at that trajectory move, and this is just a correlation, I'm not saying it's causal, but where you see that little kick up that goes from $4 to 10 and then really kicks, is where the organisation, in my experience, really pivoted to not just find good talent, to find good people. And talent came second. If you think about what we're doing across Asia, these are the real data points. This is engagement across our teams in Asia using the same metrics. So we have reason to believe that we're on the right path and the financial results will come in the fullness of time, and that this is a business that hopefully in the 10-year anniversary of this conference, I'll be talking to you about the financial results that relate to people engagement. So to close, if your goal is to disrupt, think about connection and focus on inspiring your internal team, your consumers and your customers with a unified purpose. And as I leave the stage, I'll just leave you with some of the products and experiences that our team have built over time. Thank you very much.